What's up out there to all of my gold diggers? This is your girl Rita, also known as the self proclaimed gold digger. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome. I am so glad to have you. But if you are a fellow gold digger, welcome back. Y'all know I love and I appreciate each and every one of you. Y'all will have to let me know where y'all are tuning in from. If you are tuning in on YouTube or Facebook, and I'm trying to make sure I have the Facebook set up like it's supposed to be. And it looks like, hold on, guys. I forgot how I did it last time. I think I am live, but on Facebook. If you are viewing on Facebook, let me know so I can see if you're actually seeing me live. If not, we're going to get, I don't know what's going on, but we're going to get started soon. All right, it looks like I'm live on Facebook, but yeah, it looks like I'm live on Facebook. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank y'all for bearing with me since I already told y'all I'm not that tech savvy when it comes to making sure everything is on here. And I thought I had to do an extra step last week to make sure y'all were viewing me on Facebook, but it seems like everything has been handled. So like I said, we're going to go ahead and get started so I don't keep y'all here long. Tonight's topic, we are going to be talking about my failures, and not just to dwell on them to, feel bad for ourselves or anything like that, or feel bad for me. But how you can bounce back from failures, how you can recover from them, and just, I won't say I appreciate failures. So I appreciate failures because I always learn so much whenever something does not go as planned. So we are going to get into that tonight. Let's see. What's up, Miss Tillman? I see you joining, and I see you are joining on Facebook, so that's a good thing that y'all can see me. I am so glad to have you. All right. Real quick, guys. So I talked about the topic a little bit, but if you are new to Tipsy Tuesday, basically what I do is I come on Tuesday evenings, and I share some different tips that will hopefully help you in your life, in your business, just as you journey along, so that you can be a better person, have a better business, just because I have gone through different things and I have learned different lessons, and a lot of those lessons I have learned the hard way. And if I can help someone else learn those lessons without going through some of the things that I went through, I am all here for it. But usually I share my tips, but we're also taking some sips. So I hope you brought your beverage of choice. It does not have to be alcoholic. Actually, today, what I am sipping on, I just had some tea that I am drinking tonight. So I do not have an alcoholic beverage this evening. But y'all let me know what y'all are sipping on or drinking on. And we're gonna go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna take a quick little sip. And if you are new, we also have a Tipsy Tuesday song. We have two pretty much theme songs for Tipsy Tuesday, but I'm gonna do the one that most people like, and then we're gonna dive right on into the topic. All right, here we go. Tipsy Tuesday. Tipsy Tuesday. Tipsy Tuesday. Get your tips and pass the dues. Say Tipsy Tuesday. All right. Once you hear that song, that is your official welcome to Tipsy Tuesday. All right. So we are talking about failures. Personally, my failures is what we're going to be talking about. You can laugh, you cry, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you do, just use it as a lesson from the failures that I've had. And so I decided to throw it all the way back and talk about my first business failure. My very, very, very first business failure. All right. So quick little story time, y'all. So my first business failure was probably I don't know how old I was, but I probably was no more than about 10 years old. And I decided to have a lemonade stand, which is, all well and good. A lot of kids have lemonade stands nowadays. But for me, growing up, I grew up in the country, y'all. I grew up on an old, dusty dirt road where we were at the front of the dirt road, but still it was an old dusty dirt road. If you grew up in the country, nobody ain't really stopping as they passing along on the dirt road. It's not the most ideal place to be selling lemonade or anything like that, because the dust is getting kicked up and probably blowing into the lemonade. But that was my first business that I had went and made and nobody discouraged me at all. Went and made this big old picture of Kool-Aid lemonade and everything. Had my little Dixie cups out there set up. Convinced my older brother, to come out there and help me sell this lemonade. I think we were only selling it for 10 cents. I had even calculated my margin and my profit and all that kind of stuff based on how much the cups cost me, what the Kool-Aid cost me. And it's like, we need to sell it at this particular price in order for me to make maybe $1 back or something like that. But so I did all of that. Ain't nobody, we ain't sell not near one cup of lemonade that whole time. We out there in the hot sun, in the heat. We ain't have no shade tree, no nothing, because we just at the edge of our driveway, which is leading to the old dusty dirt road. People going by, they might toot their little horn, but ain't nobody stopping to buy our lemonade or anything like that. So that was my first business. And it was also my first business failure, because we did not sell any lemonade. Nobody probably even wanted it. I think we drank more lemonade. Well, I know we drank more lemonade than we sold it. And I will say this, I was discouraged because, once again, usually these ideas I got was because I was watching the little sitcoms on TV where, the little perfect, I ain't gonna say the perfect little families were out there. You would see the kids doing that. And I'm like, oh, me too. I'm going to do that too. That's going to be me. And so that's why I set up my little lemonade stand, because they had the people coming and getting their lemonade. I thought people would come and get my lemonade, but that was not the case for me. But even back then, I never set up another lemonade stand again. But it wasn't because I was discouraged, but because of the lessons that I learned from that. And I'm going to tell you a couple of lessons that I learned just from that little lemonade stand that still hold true to me today. And then I'm going to talk about some other failures I had and some lessons I learned from that. So what I learned from that was, I realized it did not work out because there were no people where I was, or people that were willing to stop. So you have to go where the people are. So that lets me know at my particular time, and even the stuff that I'm doing, I have to attract my own tribe. I have to attract the people that are attracted to me. And sometimes you have to go where those people are. So even from that little lemonade stand that did not work out, I learned nobody is coming down a country road, dirt road, to buy lemonade. You need to go to a different location, a different place, and sell your lemonade, and you'll probably be more successful. Now, because I couldn't easily go to a different place or whatever, that just didn't work out for me. But that was one of the lessons I learned. The other lesson I learned is marketing, because I had just decided probably that day, that morning, or maybe even the day before, that I wanted to do it. But it wasn't a whole lot of prep or preparation put into it. I was just like, I can whip up this lemonade really, really quickly. I can set up the little, I got my mama's little table, little card table and stuff like that, toted it up the hill of our driveway, put it out by the road, and set it up, made a small little sign out of, my mama was a teacher, so we always had like construction paper and stuff like that. So I set up the little sign, wrote on the little sign, but there's marketing that has to take place. You have to start prepping and priming people for the things that you are offering to other people, so that they are more willing to accept. So I learned that too, that you got to get the people ready for what you are offering and showing them. And the other thing I learned was, just because you have an idea, everyone may not be ready to receive your idea. Just like those people were passing by, they would honk their horn, but nobody actually stopped. they weren't really ready to receive my idea. It was probably I won't say a foreign concept, but they probably had hardly ever seen anybody standing out on the dusty dirt road selling lemonade or anything like that. So just because you have an idea, everybody isn't always ready to receive it, which goes back to what I said. You got to go to where your tribe is, or go to where the people that are attracted to you will be and everything. But what I also learned, which still helps me to this day, is I learned that I can motivate people and I can motivate other people as well. And that's because I convinced my big brother to come out there and help me sell that lemonade when he probably knew I was probably crazy, but he still was out there with me trying to sell the lemonade. So I learned a lot just from that tender age of what to do when it comes to failures. Let's see. What's up, Mr. Mahoney? Shout out to Mr. Jason Mahoney. He did a fantastic job last week as our guest speaker. He is so awesome, so amazing. If you have not checked out that particular live, please be sure to check it out. And he says, hey, present and accounted for. And I guess in reference to my story, he says, but you had courage. Yes, I did. I've believe it or not, I will try some stuff. If I feel convicted about something or I really believe in something, I will go after it. Looking back at some of the things I have done, they haven't always been the best ideas, but I thought they were the best ideas at a particular point in time. But when you go through failures, there are so many things that you can learn from it. There are so many things that you can grow from it. That was my first business failure that I had, but I've had other failures that I'll talk about briefly, and also share some things that you can do when it comes to whenever you might be facing failures in your own life. So one of my big failures that I had was regarding optometry school. So it was my dream and goal to be an optometrist probably ever since I was in high school, like age 15, 16, something like that. I wanted to be an optometrist, an eye doctor, go to school, do that. I remember after I went to undergrad, shout out to Ms. Mahoney, went to the same undergrad as well. Went to undergrad. That's what I was planning on doing. Looked into optometry schools. While I was in undergrad, I realized at the time that the undergrad that I was attending would not adequately prepare me to go to optometry school. This is a side note, brought that to my advisor's attention, like, hey, I need to take like a whole nother like 2 additional classes, which translated into like a year's worth of classes. Like I need to take 2 additional classes in order to meet the requirements for me to go to optometry school. So thankfully, I found out what I needed early enough so that it didn't delay me or deter me from being able to do it. I was able to do that, but only to find out, like, once I graduated and I started applying to optometry schools, I wasn't immediately accepted. Well, only here's the thing with me too, y'all. When I had my mind made up, it's pretty much set on certain things. So at the time I probably applied for optometry school, there's not that many optometry schools, but were only 17 optometry schools in the country. Now I think we are at like 23, 24 or so, but there were only 17 schools in the country. I only applied to 2 because I had my mind made up and set that I'm going to be going to these 2, and that was it. Needless to say, I did not get accepted into them initially. So that was a big failure on my part because I'm like, what am I going to do with that? But I still persevered with that. I was able to reapply again, ended up getting into optometry school, ended up going through a summer program that helped better prepare me. And so that next time around, I was like, y'all must have made a mistake because y'all should have picked me the first time, but y'all not gonna make that same mistake twice. Y'all gonna pick me this time. So needless to say, I got into the school. I wrote I still remember my essay. It was about perseverance, and it was just telling how I'm gonna persevere. I'm gonna I'm going to get into this school and I am going to become an optometrist, whether through you or somebody else, but I'm getting in regardless. So that was my first, one of my biggest failures when it came to like career wise. Now everything is kind of going to be kind of like business focused a little bit. Next failure I had, or you can consider it, or some would consider it a failure, is while I was in optometry school, I had my daughter, my first child. Now, my goal and my intentions were to be able to continue with school. The whole time I was pregnant, they were like, you should be able to continue with your classes and all that kind of stuff and be able to stay on track. Lo and behold, when I did have my daughter, they pretty much sat me out. And they told me I had to take a year off of school. I was not happy about that at all, because that was not what was initially discussed with me when I found out that, or when I informed them that I was pregnant or whatever. So I was really upset about that. But needless to say, it ended up working out to be a great situation. It was good that I was able to stay home with my daughter for that first year and be able to do things with her. So it all worked out in my favor, but I was delayed by another year. And coupled with the fact that there were people in the class that I was joining, the class after me, who thought I was joining their class because I had failed my previous class and was having to repeat or whatever. So I was dealing with that, having to be sat out for a year, but also dealing with the fact that some people thought I was a failure when I wasn't a failure. They thought I was in their class because I had, failed that last semester and had to repeat or whatever. So it's like, what do you do when people think that you're a failure and you are not a failure? You have to be so, and y'all, honestly, as I think back, thank God for Jesus, because as I think back on some of the things that I went through, some of the hoops that they made me jump through and go through, it really was gender discrimination. It really was gender discrimination. And for me to be paying a school to educate me and for them to treat me that way. And I hear this happens not just in optometry school, but in other medical professions, like when you're in medical school, dental school, some of these professional schools, and when life situations like this happen, whether it's marriage, having children and stuff like that, the way they treat women is not always the best from what I am hearing, and how they handle these situations. And for us to be so advanced, I ain't even gonna say advanced because they just reversed Roe versus Wade. But anyway, so the way women are treated when it comes to education, when they're trying to have families, it is really gender discrimination. But that's a whole nother topic for a whole different day. But some of the things that I went through and that I faced, and I still had to triumph over and overcome, is because I had to be so confident in who I was, and knowing who I was, and knowing my capabilities, as well as my intelligence and things like that, especially when my intelligence got called into question. And this is not just by students, this was by faculty and staff. Like I said, some of the hoops and hurdles that I had to jump through, it was nobody but God. And like, that's why I say thank God for Jesus. And people looking at you as a failure when you are not. But that's why you have to know who you are and whose you are. Let me see. And I see my husband has made a comment. He says, getting over failure is the key to moving forward and towards greater success. And let's see, Jason says, people always got an opinion. My grandfather always told us, if you do good, people will talk. If you do bad, people will talk. So I ain't even gonna say it, run their mouth and you run your business. That's right, Jason. I love it. I love it. Your grandfather was very, very accurate and very, very true. But those were some of the failures that I went through. I also went through a failure when it came to, I had another optometry office that did not work out. something was presented to me, and I ended up deciding to not pursue it. I was there for maybe like 6 months, 8 months or something like that. It wasn't a very long time before I realized, hey, you know what? I know I want to have my own office, but this is not the look that I want. This is not how I envisioned it to be. And I had to, and what was, I won't say what was bad, is my mom, my parents, they were so excited about me having this first office and everything like that. I remember my mom, she had even like thrown me like a big party and all this kind of stuff for me. Graduating from this was, I had been out of optometry school maybe like a year or two, but for graduating optometry school, opening up my office and all this kind of stuff. And so she had this big party for me, was excited about me having my own office. And then, and you realize, you know what? As much as I want my own office, this is not the look that I wanted to have. And I need to cut my losses now and, regroup and try again later. So I did that with my first office. I remember even when I opened up this office, the office that I had, it was probably a 1.5 to 2 year process, because I ended up getting, I could not get a loan, the business loan or whatever. I ended up getting denied for a loan. And I remember even kind of like low-key fussing at the guy or whatever, because I was like, I am going to get approved. Whether your institution approves me for a loan or some other institution approves me for a loan, I am going to get this loan, and I am going to open up my business, because I already know what God has told me that I'm going to do. So I didn't get it through that particular person, but he learned about, I gave him my little testimony that day. Like, I don't care. I know that you're just trying to do your job, sir, but I'm about the Lord's business right now. And what God said was mine, it's going to be mine. And I was able to secure along with a different company or whatever. But there's so many things that you go through when it comes to failures, and you just have to know what you are striving for, what you are working for. Know who you are and just be true to yourself. So I have shared some of my failures with you. Like, these are just some, like, I fail every day, y'all. I fail, and it's small stuff. It could be small stuff like, waking up on time, doing what I'm supposed to do, that kind of stuff, eating right, all those little failures and stuff like that. These are just some of my quote unquote bigger failures that I have had. But it's so many things, but you still have to persevere. You still have to press on and continue to do what you were called to do and everything. So now that y'all know a few of my failures, I'm going to show you some ways how you can overcome failures by sharing you the things that I have learned from my failures. Okay. Let's see. And Belford made a comment. Let me put it on the screen real quick. Belford says, what I thought was my biggest, y'all, I just realized, y'all, I'm sorry. I was up there slurping the tea on camera. My bad, y'all. Anyway, Belford said, what I thought was my biggest failure and had me in a depressive state for months turned out to be what caused my biggest success. If we knew what God knew, life would be so different. That is so true. And Belford, you saying that is so right on time, because I have my first point listed, and it ties in exactly with what you are saying. But yeah, sometimes the things that we think are just gonna be such deal breakers, and I've been there. I've been where you've been, Belford, where things have not worked out, and you are just so upset and so distraught, and you don't even know how you're going to keep going or keep moving on or whatever. And that's like the catalyst for your greatest successes to be achieved. And Tim says, wow, incredible how we bounce back from such a low point. God took you through the pain in order to put you in position. Yes, I like that. All right, so let me see. I'm going to share with y'all 5 things my failures have taught me or what I have learned from that and how I have failed my way to success. And I want to quote, there's a quote by the late, great Nelson Mandela. He says, I never lose. I either win or I learn. So I want y'all to remember that when you are facing failures, it's like, what can you learn from this? Because there's a blessing in the lesson when it comes to failure. But in regards to what Belfort had said, he said what he thought was his biggest failure turned out to be what caused his biggest success. My first thing that I have learned from failure is that success and failure is all relative. It's just all relative. Like you don't know the big picture of what it's setting you up for, or what is going to become of it. It's all relative. And what you deem as a failure, other people are looking at as success. And what you might consider a success, some people are looking at it as a failure. But you have to know what your definition is of success. Just like with my first optometry practice, initially I thought it was a success, or I thought it was the thing that I wanted, but it wasn't really structured how I wanted it to be. And people looking around, people from the outside looking in, they see, oh, she's doing well, she's doing great. And it wasn't like it was terribly bad or anything like that, but it was good, but it wasn't good enough for me. Like it wasn't the good that I wanted. So success and failure is all relative. Now, I also say that too, you need to know what success looks like for you and define what your success looks like, as well as define what your failures look like, because you need to make sure you are not trying to live up to other people's expectations of success. So you might be, and I know I'll speak for myself. I won't say driven myself crazy, but sometimes I have chased after things that were not my goals. They were goals and dreams that somebody else put into my head or told me this is what you need to do to achieve, for you to obtain a certain status, for you to look a certain way, for you to obtain a certain thing. And these were not even my dreams or my goals, but I was chasing after them as if they were. It was like I'm living for someone else, which is why I say you got to know who you are and what you want to achieve and what you want to go after in life. And oftentimes we will follow after what society paints as the ideal picture of success. And because of that, we feel like we are a failure. And you're not a failure. If that's not it, is that even what you deemed a picture of success? Is that even what you envision your life to look at? Or are you chasing after someone else's expectations of how you are supposed to live? So make sure you're not doing that. Make sure you're not just following society standards and following that. Like, I know for me, they're like, okay, you need to go to school, go to college. Even now, my thoughts on that are different. Even like what I tell my children or whatever, my thoughts on that are different. You need to go to college, go to school, go to college. And I say my thoughts on it are different. I'm not against education, but I don't think everybody needs college. Get your education, but you might have to get it a different way. Get educated, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to go the college route. And then you get married, have children, get the house, all that kind of stuff. You follow this and you look up and you like, I'm living out somebody else's dreams and goals for myself. And it's like, you have to realize what the heck did I want? Or, like, I'm not as passionate about this thing. And the reason why you're not as passionate about it, because it was never really your dream or goal. It was just what society told you should be shooting for, or what someone else told you should be shooting for, or what even some of your family members or friends told you that you should be shooting and striving for. But it's not even your goal, and it's not even your dream. So be mindful of that. So thank you, Belfort, for mentioning what you said. Success and failure are all relative, and you need to know what your picture of success is, so you don't feel like you're a failure just because you're not living up to what somebody else has deemed a success. success. Okay. I see the comments coming in. Let me look at those real quick before I go on to the next point. Hold on. Belfer says, wait, let's not jump past saying how you failed your way to success. That's a that's a sermon or a book title right there. Take your pick. I don't know. Jason been trying to get me to write a book, so maybe I'll make it a book title because y'all don't want me in nobody's pulpit right now at all. But so maybe I have to turn it into a book. But literally, you have to feel your way to success. Belford, you know what? You are so apropos tonight. Like you are like my wingman for real. Because point number 3 is actually going to tie into that and everything. Let's see. And Frank and Desert, what's up, my Facebook fam? They say, amen. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And Jason says, when you chase after success of what it looks like based on another person, you take your eyes off what God has for you. In return, you are delaying your success. Keep your eyes off of them and keep your eyes on the success he has for you. Yes. And you have to stay connected to what God is calling you to do, what he wants you to achieve, so you're not distracted by these other people and the thoughts that they might put in place in your head. And thank you, Jason. And my husband, he about to get in trouble talking about no pulpit. Do the book. I know my strengths and weaknesses. Okay, I already know nobody don't want me in their pulpit. Lord God, you're going to have to yell at me. Don't whisper that if you want me in somebody's pulpit, because he already know I got that, what is it? Ratchet and righteous at the same time. I'm holy, but a little bit hood, but y'all don't want that. But anyway, moving on to the next point. What I've learned from my failures, 5 things my failures have taught me is don't force what doesn't fit. And I say that because of when I shared with you guys about when I had my first office. I was so like, it was soon after I got out of school. And you know, I've been working towards this particular achievement to become a optometrist, you know, for years, like almost a decade, y'all. And I had always wanted to have my own office. So when this opportunity was presented to me, I didn't ask the necessary questions. I didn't do my necessary due diligence and look into certain things. I was just like so happy that this opportunity had presented itself to me. And, you know, I will say this, I was naive and I went ahead and I did it. And it's like, it wasn't even like when looking back on it, the dreams and the visions that I had in my head for my office look nothing like the situation I was getting myself into. Nothing like the situation I was getting myself into, which is probably why God had to make me so uncomfortable that I had to remove myself from the situation, because it's like, this is not what you dreamed about. This is not the goal that you had in mind. This is not what you envisioned. And I will say, I did, my mentor at the time, they did say something like, are you sure this is what you really want to do? But I was so distracted about achieving this particular goal that I was trying to force something that did not even fit. It didn't even fit my vision. It didn't fit my goals, but I was trying to force something that didn't even fit because I was just so excited about, this opportunity that can happen. But I'm telling y'all, when God gives you a vision for what he wants in your life, it's never going to be less than what you see. It's never going to be less than. It's either going to be equal to or greater than what you ever imagined. Okay. Now, I say that sometimes you're going to have to start off small and work your way up, but still, it's always going to be similar to what you saw. So you got to make sure some of these things that you're deciding upon, are they really from God? Because don't force what doesn't fit, okay? Because you'll be like me. 6 to 8 months down the road, you realize, nah, like this ain't it. So I got out of that situation, and it'll be like another 5 years before I was able to act. Yeah, was it 5 years? I don't even know. Maybe it wasn't that long, but it'll be another few years before I was able to open the practice that I have now, which is definitely in more in line with the vision that I had for it, my own independent space, all that kind of stuff. This is the things I have now is what I saw in my vision, is what I saw in my dreams. That other thing, that was just a little rinky-dink rundown version of what my goal and my dream was. But I was really willing to take a piece of my dream, thinking that I was actually achieving my dreams and goals. But don't force what doesn't fit. Let's see. And I can see Jason talking about, I will listen to your best friend the poop and say amen. LOL. The donkey brought a word. He sure did. We would have communion every Sunday. Every Sunday we're gonna have communion because we're gonna have to repent from our sins. So you can come on into my pulpit, but we'll have the real communion wine. Oh, don't get me started. I have to tell you something offline, Jason, about what I had told Tim about communion and everything. And let's see. Oh, hey, Noel. So good to see you. This is my cousin. Happy birthday, boo. I hope you are enjoying your day. Glad to see you. And I hope your business is doing well. And hopefully these tips can help you as well. Y'all, let me give a shout out to a couple of people. And I want to I don't want to show favoritism to anyone, but if you are watching this and you are in South Carolina, particularly in Camden, Columbia, surrounding areas, and you need a great massage, and it is this time of the year around the holiday times where you need to be giving out gifts and we are stressed out and stuff like that, you might need to get yourself a massage, or you need to give the gift of massage, then you need to check out my cousin, Massage Therapy, Noel's Touch, for a massage. She gives phenomenal massages, and she has a heart of gold, and she's really, really, really passionate about her work. So be sure to check her out. Noel, if you put your information on the screen, I'll post it up so that people, if you like your phone number, I'll post it up on the screen so people can reach out to you. And like I said, so I'm not showing any favoritism since I'm going to give some business shout outs. If you are in need of business coaching, we have the dynamic and powerful Jason T. Mahoney from Crafted to Motivate, who will get your business all the way right and take your business to the next level. And last but not least, I'm going to shout out my husband who's being a little petty. I see your emojis. If you are in need of some Avon products or some last minute gifts, then you need to check him out as well with his Avon and everything. And he is very easy to reach. All right, y'all. So let me go ahead because we are only on number 5, and I see it's getting late in the evening. So I'm going to move on to the third thing that I've learned, or what my failures have taught me, is every failure gets you one step closer to success. And this is what Belfort was referencing earlier when I mentioned I'm just going to fail my way to success. But yes, every failure gets you one step closer to success if you look at it in a positive light. Like if you look at it in the way where, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? You are one step closer to success. So you're just failing your way to success. Now, if you look at it as a negative and you beat yourself up and get all down in the dumps and like give up and say, I'm not doing this again. No, you're not really, you still could get closer if you reevaluate your life, but really, really look at, hey, what can I learn from this? And it's amazing how we lose sight of the fact that when we mess up or make a mistake or something like that, that we should be learning something from the mistake. I don't know what happens to us or what gets ingrained in us where we are so caught up on perfection and getting things right, that we don't appreciate the lesson in the mistake or the failure that we made. Because if you've ever watched a baby as they're learning to walk, they'll take they might take one step, they might take two steps, and then they fall down. But what do? They get right back up and they try again. And sometimes when they get back up, they're like smiling. Even when they fall down, sometimes they are smiling, but they don't stop. They don't ever just sit there on the floor or stay there. They get right back up and they start again. Their legs might be a little bit wobbly. They might be a little bit shaky. They might be a little bit uncertain. Their balance might be a little bit off, but they still get up and they try again. And that's what you have to realize when it comes to your failures, your mistakes, what have you. Even though you might fall down, even though you might get knocked down, you still got to get back up. I don't care how wobbly you are. I don't care how shaky you are. I don't care how afraid you are. You got to get back up and keep going and going after your goal and going after your dream, because every failure is getting you one step closer to you achieving your success. It might not look like it, it might not feel like it, but I promise you, every step you're taking in the positive direction is getting you one step closer to you achieving your goal. So keep going, keep having that baby kind of like mentality. That's why I guess in the Bible it says you have to become like children. And because if you dwell on everything that has happened to you in your lifetime, and I know some of us have had it harder than others, and there have been things that you have probably went through where you will be well justified in saying, I am done, I am not trying to do another thing. You probably be well justified in saying that. But that childlike hope, that childlike innocence is kind of what you have to have. That like kids believe that they can do anything at all. Like I said, I don't know what happens to us. I guess life just happens to us where eventually we get so limited and like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do that. But as a child, they believe they can do anything. And that's how you have to be when it comes to whenever you have a failure. If you want to achieve success, you still have to believe and you still have to know for yourself, I can do anything. I might not have been able to do it today. It may not have been able to work out this time, but I'm still capable of doing anything that I set my mind to do. And you just have to stay positive and keep going, okay? Every failure is just getting you one step closer to success. And once again, going back to the thing, success and failure is all relative. It's all relative because I don't have a Tesla. I'm going to use Tesla as an example. I'll use the iPhone as an example. I don't even have an iPhone. Y'all know I don't have no iPhone. I'm a Samsung girl. But that first iPhone that came out is nowhere near the iPhone. I don't know what iPhone y'all got now, but whatever the latest iPhone is out now, is nowhere near that. Well, I don't know. Maybe y'all are, because y'all really don't have any advancements in the iPhone. You know, y'all try to act like y'all do, but y'all really don't. So maybe that wasn't a good example, but I'm gonna stop. I'm not gonna be petty. I'm sure the first iPhone does not look like the latest version of the iPhone now. But if they were to stop, if they were to stop at the little, what was it, the iPod or whatever, and they didn't continue on, imagine where y'all would be. Y'all would have nothing to brag and boast about, even though y'all really don't have nothing to brag and boast about. But that's neither here nor there. Let me not let the petty get out. But I'm just saying, if you stopped at the first iteration of something, you never know what you could achieve. Okay. If like, even if your parents stopped and said, hey, we're not going to try and strive and make things better, we're not going to try and you are doing something greater, probably far greater than your parents have ever been able to do. We are doing stuff that is far greater than our ancestors have ever thought they could do. That's why that saying, like, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. We are living out some of the dreams of people that have come before us. But if they stopped, if they gave up, we couldn't even be able to carry out and do the things that we are doing today. So just because it didn't work out today, just because it didn't work out last week, last month, last year, I don't care. Keep going. Keep moving closer and closer to achieving your goal. Okay. All right. I've been talking a lot. I need to take a sip. All right. Let me see. I promise y'all I just have one last thing. Jason says, we allow people to get in our ears. The baby walking does not have a care. No, they don't care in the world of what you think about him or her. They just get up and do it. However, we are not afraid of the failure. We think of what others will think. Be like a kid. If I fall, I'm going to get back up and keep moving. Yeah, we let other people get in our head, and we're so concerned about how we're going to look to other people if we fail. Y'all, I don't care. I mean, I can look like a straight up fool because I failed or whatever, but I might look like a fool today, but if you look at me the next day, the next week, the next month, the next year, I bet you I'm not going to look the same. You can't call me, you won't be able to call me a fool again, because you're going to be like, oh, she doing some other stuff. You know, she might have messed up that other day or that other week or whatever, but now she doing stuff. So you can say what you want about me, but yeah, we're going to keep going. And Belfort says, kids have one thing we all should have. They have audacity. You got that right, Belfort. I like that. They have audacity. Y'all let me know if this has been helpful to you. And hopefully it's been beneficial to you as well. All right. So the last and final thing, because y'all, honestly, I did not think I was going to talk this long about it, but y'all can tell that I'm pretty passionate about what I'm saying, because I am trying to live it out. Because like I told y'all earlier, I have failed so many times, from little things to big things, all kinds of stuff. But one thing I'm always going to remember is to keep going. Hold on, y'all. I said I got one more thing. I got two more things. All right. So we're going to quickly go through these last two things. What I want you to remember, this is very, very important. What I want you to remember, always know this, always keep this in the back of your head. Just because you failed at something, it doesn't mean that you yourself are a failure. You are not a failure. And I think, just like what Jason had mentioned, like we're afraid of what people will think of us, or how other people will look at us. But not only that, how are you looking at yourself? What are you thinking about yourself? And I hope and pray that you don't think that you yourself are a failure just because you failed at something, because you're not. You're not. You just failed at in that particular situation, with that particular incident. And it's an isolated incident. It is not representative of your entire life. It is not representative of your entire being. It is not representative of your entire character or you as a person. It is one isolated incident in the whole span of your life. And unless you let it stop and stay there and dictate that you are a failure, then you can let it dictate that you're a failure, but you're not a failure. That is just one thing. That is just one thing out of millions of things that you have done well, that you have been able to accomplish, that things that you might even discount and don't even think are important or whatever. Like people, if you were to ask one of your friends, like, what are you good at? They can probably list out 3, 4, 5 different things that you never even considered was a gift, a talent, or a skill. And you're caught up with this one thing that you did not do well at, or this event that happened, or this series of events, or this situation that happened where it didn't work out in your favor. So don't look at yourself as a failure just because something you tried did not work out. You are not a failure. You are not defined by what happened to you. Okay. You are so much greater than that. You are so much bigger than that. And you are capable of doing so much more. Don't let one failure or two failures or three failures, I don't care how many failures, cripple you or hinder you from going after the things that you need. Okay. And also, this is another quote from Nelson Mandela too, where he says, "Don't judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again." So it's all about the getting up. It's all about getting up and continuing the process, because there is beauty in the journey. There is so much beauty in the journey. Sometimes we are so focused on getting to the destination that we don't appreciate the lessons and the blessings that come along just from us taking that journey to the destination that we are seeking. Okay. All right. Last and final thing that my failures have taught me is that everything, and I mean everything, is working for my good. It may not look like it in the moment. It may not even feel like it in the moment, but I have to keep reminding myself, like, even though it doesn't look like how I want it to look, everything is going to work out for my good. And going back to what Belford had mentioned, he had said that one of his biggest failures, or what he thought was his biggest failure, ended up that, had him upset and stuff, ended up turning into one of his greatest successes. So everything is just working out for your good. It doesn't always look like it, but it is. And I think I used this analogy a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it was when I was talking about Tyler Perry. Maybe it was when I was talking about a Tyler Perry documentary. But it's like everything has to work together for the good. And I think I used the example of when, like, if I was to make a cake, you know how you need flour, you need butter, you need eggs, and that kind of thing. If you ate each of those things by itself, or if you were just to taste those things by itself, it doesn't taste good. But when you mix it together in the right amount, with the right amount of pressure, with the right amount of beating, because you got to beat, y'all. When I had to make that cake for Thanksgiving, y'all, I could not find our mixer, so I had to beat that stuff by hand. You had all that beating that it takes, and sometimes it takes beatings and stuff like that. It takes you going through stuff. It takes you failing through stuff. But in the end, it all works out for your good. It all works out for your good. So just always remember that. Fail your way to success. You are going to win, but part of winning is not giving up. So keep striving, keep going after your dreams. All right. That was my 5 things. Let me see if anyone has anything else to add. I'm going to do a quick recap. Queen T, what's up? It is good to see you. She says, "Hi, Rita. I really need to hear this today." Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for your encouragement and your motivation. You are more than welcome. I'm glad to see you. All right. So real quick, I'm going to do a recap, and then I'm hopping off because I kept y'all way too long. I thought this was only going to take me like 30 minutes. But I sadly underestimated how long it was going to take me. So 5 things my failures have taught me is that success and failure are all relative. You need to define what your definition of success is, as well as what your definition of failure is. Number 2 was don't force what doesn't fit. 3 was every failure gets you one step closer to success. So fail your way to success and keep reaching and striving for your goals. Number 4 was just because you failed at something, that does not mean that you yourself are a failure. Okay. That it does not define you. Okay. That one situation, that one incident does not define you. And last thing, everything is working out for your good. All right. So, like I said, thank y'all so much for showing me love, for giving me likes. If this was helpful, if you've enjoyed it, please feel free to share it so other people can get the information and get the message. And hopefully they'll get encouraged, just like how Miss Queen T was encouraged on today. All right. So this has been Tipsy Tuesday. This has been tonight's Tipsy Tuesday. I look forward to seeing y'all again on next week. Take care, everyone.